So welcome into the live stream today. We're going to be jumping into tokenization of not only stocks, but how tokenized securities may play into the entire crypto market. This is going to be the drill down today. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's get into it quickly. There's quite a bit happening around the AMC stock and the earnings call that happened last week with Adam Aron, their CEO. He revealed something that is quite unique in the aspect of a tokenized security that will reward AMC stockholders. So I want to kind of paint this out because there is a lot of potential here for what we may see in the very near future as a 24/7 stock trading opportunity that obviously could play into blockchain and how even what we could see more securities in the way of altcoins, all those sort of scenarios play into this in the future. So it does have kind of an industry bellwether position. I want to jump to his first tweet here. He had his tweet storm over the weekend too, but I want to zoom in on this one. This was his statement after the earnings call, and I'll play you a couple of clips from the earnings call where he explains this, but he basically breaks it down. It's complicated, but really is satisfying playing 3D chess, especially if you know how to play. Today, AMC Entertainment announced the vastly improved earnings and our game-changing new APE securities. Don't get this mixed up with APE, the NFT. This has a completely different acronym usage, and obviously the hashtag today we pounce. So this happened a lot, at least I think when a lot of people looked at this. If you've been watching or following AMC for the last year, you understand the connection to Wall Street Bets, kind of the evolution of how this stock has been able to weather the storm, but also how AMC has been able to kind of position. Now, why is this interesting to technology and blockchain and what's happening in crypto? Because what I think is going on is Adam Aron, I think, is taking a page out of crypto and figuring out a way to securely offer a security in the way of a tokenized asset. And that in itself has potential huge ramifications. Even though it has been somewhat done before, the likelihood of this being, I think, industry-wide awareness is pretty interesting, at least in the way of tokenizing stocks. So I want to cut to this first clip. It's an audio clip from his call just this last week. Listen into this one.
Today, we announced that later this month, AMC will be creating a new class of securities and will be issuing an AMC preferred equity unit stock dividend payable only to holders of our 516,820,595 issued and outstanding company-issued common shares. This includes all of our U.S. and all of our international shareholders as well. We will issue these new AMC preferred equity units on a one-for-one basis. Investors will get one AMC preferred equity unit for each AMC common share that they own as of the record date in mid-August. Because the dividend is only being distributed to our current shareholder base as of the dividend record date, there also is no dilution from this initial issuance of the APEs associated with this stock dividend. It's logical to assume that once a dividend is issued on August 22nd, the price of our common shares will fall. Vitally, however, and I cannot repeat this enough, for each owned share, investors would not own only a single share, but would own instead a share and an APE. This new AMC preferred equity provides AMC with a currency that can be used in the future to further strengthen our balance sheet, including by paying down some of our debt and other liabilities. It also gives us the ability to seek additional shareholder value enhancing and potentially transformative investment opportunities. We also will be offering a free I Own APE NFT to all existing AMC Investor Connect members and to new members joining by August 31, 2022. I have more than a $50 million economic stake in AMC. This is pretty obvious stuff, but that is a powerful incentive for me to do what is right for all of our shareholders. Today,
All right, so you heard it right there from the CEO, AMC Preferred Equity. That's the acronym for APE. The uniqueness here, I think, that he is creating is a very interesting aspect that could eliminate short positions in a very creative way. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but the way that he's been able to build this or potentially build this, it could start to create a very interesting position for the SEC around tokenized securities in general, which could at some point be possibly integrated in. If there's a lot of altcoin projects out there right now, should be taking very good note of what he is up to, because I think there could be some similarities of how other altcoins in general could go to market under a securities moniker that will most likely be tagged on many altcoins over the next year or so as the SEC starts to really put some pressure on. I wanted to go to this story right here from FX Street. AMC Preferred Share Units draws a crowd. Obviously, this is the scenario. Just on Friday, the stock soared 13%. So if you have been riding AMC over the weekend, you're up, I think, around 50+% on this stock. But they break it down as well. But more importantly, it talks a little bit about the stock movement. So a lot of people looked at this as a very positive scenario. Many people also looked at this as this guy's lost his marbles, the route that he's taking. And then there are some that have said this is pure genius. I'm surprised that we haven't seen more moves like this from other creatives. Now, the other aspect to this is AMC has already started to integrate a lot of other things. But if you look at the article here, AMC stock bounced 13.6% start of the week. Monday following Friday's schizophrenic price action. This is shares are currently trading at about $25 an hour on Monday's New York session. The meme stock fans seem to be loving the introduction of the preferred equity shares. And this, of course, is going to be something that they're going to issue a little bit later. And this will be a security that will list on the stock exchange. So that in itself will be interesting. He also says, today we pounced, the rallying call from Aram CEO to his AMC APE followers with the announcement of the preferred share aspects. So not exactly the pounce that AMC, I think, had been waiting for from the aspect of the overall. But when you look at, and I'll show you the stock ticker here in a bit and a little bit about the chart, because there's some big movement here. But in general, this is a very interesting way to go about tokenizing a stock. The question I have is, first, how did you get this by the SEC? Because this this could create such a unique open marketplace because it is a security and there is intent potentially on the value of what that APE will be, that APE. This will be interesting to see this play out. And he kind of goes into a little bit more in a clip, an audio clip that we'll play for you guys coming up here. I want to go to this next story though. They're issuing 517 million shares of preferred stock. Obviously, this will be under the new symbol APE. And with that, I'd love to hear what Cramer had to say about this, because I doubt Cramer even understands really what this could mean. But pretty intriguing. This is a new class of shares that carries the same voting rights as the existing common shares, which is also intriguing because of the fact that they have extended this in a way that in which you have to own the stock to actually have the security. So the preferred equity security. That in itself almost ensures that people, if value is going on both, because you'd have to sell one if you sell the other, that the value over to the open market could be very interesting down the road, because there is, because all you're getting, I think, is up to a penny for one of these apes right now. So the question is what those will be worth in the upcoming markets as they start to roll this out. I want to go to another clip he has real quick, because this also explains a little bit of the complexity, but how they're trying to roll this out.
One of the things that has bothered me over the past year and a half is that we've gone forward with lots of offers to our shareholders, often through Investor Connect, but often separate and apart from Investor Connect. And often we're giving benefits at our U.S. theaters. That's because we have one IT system across all of our U.S. theaters. We operate in a dozen countries, and we have a different IT system and operate with different brand names all across Europe and the Middle East. It makes it very difficult to make global offers because we can't necessarily program it through all these disparate information systems. In addition to that, with respect to voting rights, there's something that's quite odd to us in the United States, which is many international brokerage firms don't have the capability to facilitate shareholder voting. And so many of our international shareholders feel somewhat either disenfranchised because they're not getting the offers, a free popcorn, a free icy, a free cup of coffee, or early advanced screenings that we've offered to our U.S. Investor Connect members, or they've been deprived of their chance to vote not because we're depriving them, but because their brokers are. And so we made absolutely sure that when we issue this AMC preferred equity unit, it will go into the accounts not only of our U.S. shareholders, but our Canadian shareholders, our European shareholders, and our shareholders scattered all over the world.
All right, so this is going to put some pressure on the brokerages, the shorts, the whole aspect around how the tokenized security will be treated, especially from a voting standard. And again, this goes back to kind of the overarching theory of what this might look like in a tokenized system for stocks, which at some point will be connected to the blockchain. And I feel like that's where we're going to start to see 24-hour trading. FTX is kind of already moving this direction. I'll show you a couple of stories on that as well. I do want to thank our sponsor today. That is Bybit. Of course, if you guys are looking to get into some really cool offers, they're actually offering some big benefits for you guys to start trading within Bybit. Check our offer down below. We'll leave some links in the description. Different levels for different levels of investment. You get to play with their money, but keep the profits. So it's available only to our community members. So just jump over to Bybit real quick. Of course, make sure and use our link. It will help you guys get into maybe your own type of trading if you like getting into leverage and some potential opportunities around that. It's one of the best platforms out there to jump. Now, I want to go through a tweet storm that this CEO did. So first thing was get yours free by joining AMC's Investor Connect. This is where he's talking about his APE, clearly just kind of marketing up what he's doing. He's talking a little bit about how, and this to me was a unique one because it connects the limited edition NFT. And the point I'm making with this particular tweet is this CEO really understands the use case of NFTs and potentially the use case of how tokenization may change the entire stock community in the near future. So he's thinking literally, and he talks about it, 3D chess. He's playing on a lot of different fronts here, both from a retail aspect of offering up NFTs around movie releases, along with the loyalty aspect through tokenized securities via the APE token, we'll call it, and then the ability to at some point probably start to integrate blockchain, I think, at a very big level. This will be the next thing that will be very close to watch. He also goes on to say his biggest FUD of all, this was on the dilution side of things. Some misunderstand or are trying to scare you. There's bad dissolution or good dilution. If added liquidity gained from dilution is wasted, it's bad. However, if wisely handled, it's good. Indeed, for AMC's 2021, it was actually great for their shareholders. And he is right. For 2021, there has been some absolute amazing growth in terms of the stock itself. This was another point on his tweet storm. Oh, and while I'm on a roll this Saturday, there's absolutely no dilution in the initial stock dividend payout on August 19th. Let me zoom up on that for you guys just a little bit. That's because initially all these apes go and only go to the current shareholder base. So you own the same percentage of AMC before and after. So it's really just a bonus that you're actually getting the APE security in addition to one share of AMC stock that you're owning. And what that security is going to be worth, that's the question mark, because the open market will essentially start to dictate that. There's some very interesting 3D chess being played here, and I'll get to that here in a minute. He goes on to say here, as for U.S. income taxes, this all should be tax-free to you. There's no tax owed on the APE when you get it. If and when you sell it, our understanding is that for your short or long-term purposes, the acquisition date of your APE is the same date as the corresponding AMC share. So you bought a share, you get an APE. You bought a share, you get an APE. So it would fall under the same type of taxation scenarios that you would have any other security out there. So to avoid the kind of the wash rule. Another thing too that I wanted to jump on is really kind of talking about tokenized stocks and how they work. Now there's a few things here that is kind of intriguing that has some similarities to what AMC is trying to do here. But if you look at a couple of things that really kind of isolate in on why are companies tokenizing equity, this is some interesting things to watch. The first one is this little section right here, okay? Reason many companies tokenize equity, same reason they use for share stocks to raise capital. There could also be some distinct advantages to raising additional capital by issuing digital tokens rather than going through the traditional method of going IPO. Remember, this is essentially how we see so much happening within the blockchain community because of these methodologies. So the key here, I think, that will be interesting is how these start to work into the stock side of things. So here's examples of tokenized stocks. This is mirrored Apple. We're a tokenized stock of the Apple Computer Company. This is traded as low as 142 and as high as 170. This is the last 3 months. You also had mirrored shares of Gold Trust. Same thing with Tesla. This has been out there, mirrored Tesla, mirrored iShares on Silver, and then mirrored Netflix, etc. So it's been a common scenario that we've started to see this. The difference is that this is being held by AMC and going out to individual shareholders as an actual dividend, so to speak. So it really does change kind of the dynamic of how all of this is going to play out. Tokenized stocks just kind of break down the big part of this. It's globally available. These are the characteristics of tokenized tokens side of things. Globally available, highly divisible, and then traded 24/7. That's where I think we're going with a lot of these exchanges that are going to eventually start offering more 24/7 trading and potentially getting into tokenized stocks. There's some other things here I wanted to highlight. Let me see if I can get this one to kind of repaint on my highlights here, because it's got a lot of uniqueness to it in terms of actually how do they work. And let me kind of highlight this area right here. All right, so this is, if you bought a company's stock from the exchange during the company's IPO, you would receive shares in the brokerage account. The process same for tokenized stocks, except that's because tokenized stocks are blockchain based, so they're purchased through a cryptocurrency exchange. So here will be the big question is he at some point going to connect the dots here with how this all comes together, possibly either in an FTX or in other crypto exchanges that could start to see an onslaught of different types of tokenized stocks come into play into this. So it'll be an interesting one to watch for sure. A couple more points I want to hit out, and then I want to show you a video of this. Security tokens now represent over 18.6 billion in value. This is obviously as new players enter the market. We're going to see more and more companies starting to move into the aspect of not only crypto exchanges starting to trade on stocks, but the aspect of looking at some of these new tokenized securities. So more security tokens than ever. This kind of just shows you a quick rundown on them. We're going to see more of this, and I think this is just the beginning with where AMC is going. And I think in the long run, he is going to be in a position where we may see other stock and other companies start to initiate these types of elements. And I think it's not going to be long before we start to see some sort of blockchain integrated, possibly even partnerships with certain blockchain projects to be able to enable this down the road. And again, this gets back into the whole scenario of where tokenized stocks will be going in exchange for and how they might be connected with tokenized securities from the blockchain aspect side. So here's an article quickly. Could tokenized stocks bring a lot of volume to the market? This would get back to the point where it is 24/7. It is one of those things where we'll start to see that whole scenario open up and trade much like what we've seen with obviously cryptocurrency, with trading 24/7 all the time. And I think this is going to bring a very unique aspect to stock trading overall. And AMC just may be one of those companies that is willing to do something so crazy and already outside the box that they could start to set the ball in motion around a lot of this. FTX stock trading opens for US users. This, of course, is kind of going to the whole point I'm getting at, is that you've got both Robinhood playing in the crypto space. Now you've got FTX playing in the stock space. Same thing with M1 Finance. They recently were mostly stocks, now trading in the crypto space. And I have a feeling we're going to continue to see others starting to integrate into these 24/7 trading vehicles, which again ties back to what AMC is trying to do overall, I think, from a strategic standpoint. I want to jump over to TradingView and just take a look at. So this is the month right here on AMC. And if you look at the chart that I just created where it's trading right now, this is up 77% from where it was trading back here on July the 11th, which is right at 14 bucks. Now trading right at 25.43. So whether you like AMC or not, the fact that he has done this and really create a very unique, and this of course is the short term. Let me go to the 4-hour. And you can kind of see this movement right here. This is what has happened just over the last little bit of time here around the growth of this new offering and what it might mean from an ape standpoint. There's also a video out there that breaks down the aspect of how this may play out into the shorts side of things. And it's a little bit lengthy, but I want to play a couple of parts for it real quick. Let me jump to this video and then we'll get to some questions for you guys. Let me just pick this up right here.
Gift from Adam Aaron to every single one of the apes, 1 share of APE. Now, you might look at this and say, like, big fucking deal, demonetized. I'm only getting one. I'm only getting 1 cent.
So what they're talking about there is you're only getting a penny out of the share itself. But he goes on to kind of talk about the whole thing. Hang on.
I told you.
Quiet. I don't want to hear it. All right. So you might be thinking, big deal. I'm only getting a share that's worth 1 cent. Well, here's the thing. Apes are going to go onto the market at 1 cent because that's the par value of the stock. But that's not what it's going to be trading at. See, you are going to be the only holders of this equity. When this goes out, it's only being issued through a dividend. They're not issuing any additional stock, at least not right away. So because of that, Ape is going to trade at...
What he's getting at there is that now being, kind of unique and exclusive, the potential for this to really accelerate in value because the market's going to set that value could be a big part of this. So he kind of goes on to what I think is the killer app that Adam
whatever
Aaron
the
has
market
done here.
decides it's going to trade at. So all of a sudden, if you have a situation where all equity holders of APE turn out to be retail shareholders, you can dictate whatever price you want. Dollars. Just throwing out a ridiculous number, by the way. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but like say you put a limit sell.
So he's jumping into what he thinks value is going to be. Let me jump ahead here because he gets into talking about a couple of the aspects around shorts, and then also around shorts and also the brokers. So it kind of eliminates that potential for shorts to be so powerful because they would essentially have to own one of the APE securities. To own the APE security, you have to own the actual stock itself. So it could create a very unique scenario that Adam Aronson, obviously many CEOs hate their stocks to be shorted. If you listen much to Elon Musk, he's probably one of the most vocal out there that he absolutely just detests short positions. And there's a lot of companies and investment groups that obviously do short that. So I think this is one of the strategic ways that it starts to create some problems for that, which could create the whole aspect, much like we see in crypto, where the community is essentially driving the ability for people to retain loyal fans / community in holding a token while it's going through a rough time or on its way up, and then we see people taking profits. So I think this is going to be a very interesting scenario to watch out for. And I want to kind of scrub a couple of things here because he's got a couple of scenarios here that he's talking about. Let me pick it up right here and then we'll wrap.
We don't actually know.
He's talking about naked shorts right here.
There's no way for us to know, but let's just pretend that there's like 1 billion. So that would be 3 times AMC's float, right? So there's 1 billion naked shorts. You add on the 500 million plus change shares that are out there. Guess what? Everybody who owns an AMC share, whether it is an IOU or a synthetic share or not, they're entitled to this dividend. They're entitled to receive these. So this is where the shorts and brokers get into big fucking trouble. The shorts only have to pay the money, the cash in lieu of a dividend in order to maintain their position. So the short.
All right, so you understand that now. It's that the shorts and the brokerage houses they really are in a bad situation with this particular move. Now, I am still questioning whether or not the SEC comes in and supersedes what's going to happen this month with AMC. So it's going to be interesting to watch. That is for sure. Has Adam Aron created maybe a new, as he says, a new class of security that is essentially circumventing a lot of the strategic aspects around how investments have worked over the last really decade and a half. So especially when you look at the short positions and how this might play into it. So lots happening out there in the market for sure. Make sure and stay tuned here. Make sure and stay tuned here on our show, because we're going to be doing a live stream here with Gareth Soloway coming up. We're going to be talking about the Inflation Reduction Act, and of course, a whole bunch of other stuff around whether or not Bitcoin is going to continue its climb. How well is ETH going to hold out with ETH pumping over 1,800 this morning? We'll definitely get into some questions here. Let's jump to our poll real quick and take a look. All right, AMC APE dividend, genius or insane? Looks like everybody likes this this move here, checkmate for shorts. So this would be interesting, because it will be one of those scenarios. Could this be something that Tesla or other companies who are targeted for short positions, much less what's happening in Bitcoin, and think about cryptocurrency in general, how this may play into some of these independent, market makers out there, and what that might look like from a blockchain standpoint. I think there's a lot of creativity in the finance space that is just now being uncovered through the whole lens of how blockchain has been built. It's going to be a lot more coming down the pipe. And I've said this before, is I think the SEC and the CFTC are both outmanned and outgunned here because of the innovation level and speed. It's much like what happened with the early days of the internet, same kind of scenario. I think we're probably going to end up seeing, maybe not in this administration, but definitely in the next one, I feel like we will see a new governmental organization that will be managing digital assets in a whole new way, unless we get to a whole new area of this new class of securities. I want to take a few questions for you guys. Coming in from Ned. All right, so if APE is going to have the same voting power, doesn't this mean the AMC price should equal APE price? Well, that's the question mark, is because with the fact that the dividend is essentially just a cent for every share, the market value will be dictated by the shareholders. And as you all know, we're talking about AMC shareholders here. This is none other than the origin of Wall Street Bets. So the likelihood is we may see a lot of leveraging and movement in that space for sure. Bruno, fractionalized stocks will bring much more investment from younger generation. I definitely agree with you there. When you're younger, you don't have access or minimum fund requirements by brokerage firms. Again, big. This is the kind of the shift that we've seen over the last really 5 years, especially with the evolution of Robinhood, is that it has really kind of changed the dynamic of how investing is done. So I would agree with you. Can you buy APE? You will eventually be able to buy APE. The interesting thing is the only way you'll get APE is if you are actually an AMC holder. So that in itself will create a very unique aspect to it. I think a tough squeeze because it has so many people in AMC already. We need the big dogs to invest in order to get a pop, maybe. And this has been a pretty good pop for this month, so pretty good. Lord Byron coming on, rooting for them, but not getting my hopes up. Again, this is, I think, a scenario with AMC. AMC, I think, is pulling off some very interesting moves here. If you think about just them, he was one of the first, and we have one of our analysts who's really following this in a big way, but Adam Aron was one of the first that really kind of identified that the streaming wars would eventually be over, and the likelihood of a full return to what's happening, and now AMC doing so well at the box office, and the potential of streaming, the new strategy of theatrical release, all those kind of things. If you follow movies and how that works, you'll start to get the picture of where AMC has positioned, and their tie-in to the blockchain, their tie-in to NFTs is not by chance. This is a planned mechanism that they probably have planned in terms of a strategic rollout over the next few years. All right, so when is the cutoff to own AMC to get the APE? It looks like it's going to be from here forward. So you'll be able to get an AMC share if you buy it now. I think you're eligible for APE. But even as you continue to purchase AMC shares, they're going to generate those apes, and because it's one ape share for every stock share that's available. So whatever they have available would have an equivalent level over there. It's not going to be worth a penny, just in the legal term of the stock. Well, that would be the question: is it's going to be worth what the market, says it is worth? And I think that will be the question. This is the craziest, most genius move ever. Yes, I think they are insane, but in a market of FOMO investors, it's definitely going to win. And this again goes back to the whole scenario of, it's almost like stock trading, crypto trading. It's so gamified, and this has a lot of factoring into kind of a new generation that understands gaming, understands investing, and they want that kind of value. And I think that's where AMC has kind of gone this direction. AMC needs to partner up with Gala. Man, wouldn't that be a unbelievable partnership right there? Tyrone, for sure. All right, so All Chat Gaming, get those shorts. Yeah, LOL. Tesla could be next for sure. This is going to be one to watch, because if he is successful, then the likelihood of other CEOs maybe going in this direction may not be out of the possibility. So a lot potentially happening out there in terms of investing and kind of how the future of blockchain, tokenization, as Raoul Paul says, everything will be tokenized in the future. So it's just a matter of time. All right, you guys, make sure and stay tuned for our 3 o'clock with Gareth Soloway. Just hang around. We're going to have a big live stream with Gareth. He's going to be charting Bitcoin and Ethereum with us. We're going to take a look at where the market is trending, a lot around this Inflation Reduction Act, what kind of impact this could have, not only in the markets, but in general from an economic standpoint, because there's a lot happening this week. Obviously, on Friday, we've got the CPI numbers coming in. We're going to have a lot of really good videos for you guys this week, so make sure and stay tuned on all that. If you're listening and over on the podcast right now, you got to jump in here to the live stream. So the way you do that, jump over to YouTube, search Paul Barron Network. You'll find us. Like the video and make sure and subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell. You'll get a notification every time we go live, or so many times a day. And that way you'll be able to join in and really catch all this alpha up front. A lot of our traders, a lot of our stock analysis, our own CPI, our crypto power index gets revealed a lot right here on the channel. If you want to reach me, it is out on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechBath.